Hello from Gardening at Dwensa here in Ireland, and welcome to my watering day. So I'm bringing my orchids up here to the sink to water them, and I thought as I did it, it might be quite fun to be on the lookout for some spikes. Let's see what that summer in the greenhouse did for my Cattleyas, and hopefully it'll result in lots of spikes and buds. Okay, so the way I'm going to work this video is I'm going to water my orchids. When I find a spike, I'll bring the camera over, show you, and then just continue on. So it'll be various, unrelated clips, let's just say, as I change plants in between. And the first plant, the first Cattleya I want to show you, which is in spike this year, or in sheath, is this noid orange one, which has flowered for me beautifully before. And there we go, one new growth and one sheath down there inside. So, well, I would have expected more, but it's doing well. At least one flower spike is better than none, eh? But before we get into the Cattleyas, I do have a few other types of orchids that are showing promise, and one of which is the Twinkles. Now, my Twinkles have flower spikes at the moment, just a few coming, and that should lead to, well, I have a couple of Twinkles, and I think this is the white one. And they're just beginning to come now, so we'll have lots more soon, and they always do such a wonderful show. And I'm very pleased to tell you that my Oncidium sotoanum is back on form again and is due for a bumper flowering this year with one spike, two spikes, three spikes, little spike, four spikes, and five spikes. And it took a rest last year, didn't bother to flower. This was after it had been divided, so I'm glad it's back on form. Now you can see that there are some marks on the leaves that I was worried about, and I'm very pleased to see that the new growths are coming up clean without any marks. So whatever it is, hopefully that's the end of it. Anyway, looking forward to that, because Oncidium sotoanum really has to be my favourite Oncidium. And it's one of the parents of the Twinkles that we know and love, the white and the orange ones that produce masses and masses of spikes on a very small plant. There's my one back there. And yeah, so you can see, when you see an Oncidium sotoanum in full flower, you know exactly where the Twinkles have gotten it from. And next up in my, well, mostly Cattleya update, but this one is actually a Dendrobium. And we have Dendrobium sanderiae, var major, extra large, and it has two healthy new growths, one there. But if we look here, you see that it's a flower spike. So I'm really excited about this. Can't wait to see this one come into flower. Yeah, exciting. So let me show you this plant here. And the last time this plant flowered for me was 3 years ago. Yes, can you believe it? 3 years ago. But I have some really exciting news this year. Oh, I suppose name first. Now this is quite a blue flowered one. I can't get the label out. Okay, it's called Sierra Skies Leone, and it has Cattleya bowringiana as a significant parent, which you can tell by the habit of the pseudobulbs, with this kind of like, it seems almost like this extra sheath on the pseudobulbs as they emerge. And anyway, 3 years, as I said, since it last flowered, but I wonder, can you see that there? And there we have a cluster of buds also, over here, just emerging from the sheath, another cluster. And if we turn the plant around, and this is a significant plant, and the good news is that we have buds on the other side. So this leaf here, down there, I don't know if the camera is picking it up, but I can make the buds out. And then I have another new growth that is maturing here, this one here. And who knows, perhaps this one will produce buds in time as well. So, you know, they are all around the plant. So when this flowers, it's going to be absolutely amazing. Now they're smallish blue flowers, but the shape and everything is just amazing. Now, why is it sitting in this big sink full of water? And it's because of these marks on the leaf, the damage on the leaf there. And I suspect that's a slug bite. Although I've never found slugs to eat Cattleya leaves before, and it's there worryingly near the new bud, and also on this one here, on the other side there. See, like the slug ate through. So I've submerged the whole plant in the sink, in the water here, and the idea is that we're going to flush that sucker out. They don't like water and they will come to the surface. Now, of course, it could be that the slug who did this damage, if indeed it is a slug, is in one of the other pots. But I'm going to leave this for a good 10 minutes anyway and see if I can get it out. But really, really excited about this plant being in flower again. And I'll link up above to the video I made when this was last in flower, and you'll see how glorious those blooms really are. And here we have Cattleya bowringiana, which is just opening, and the buds aren't quite open yet. Look at those flowers, they're really quite dendrobium-like, don't you think? But we have 6 flowers on this spike, small flowers, so when they all open it should make a significant impact. Now I've had this plant 2 years, I think, and when it flowered last year, to tell the truth, I was so disappointed with it I didn't even bother making a video about it. It was so insignificant it nearly ended up in the bin straight away. And as you can see, it's a significant plant, so when this flowers you want it to be worth writing home about. Now every single pseudobulb has flowered, as we can see by looking at its history. This was before it was in my hands. And another a telltale characteristic of the bowringiana is the way the base of the pseudobulbs and the roots really like to be proud of the substrate, and it won't do well if it's buried too much. See this kind of swellings at the base of the canes or the pseudobulbs? Well, you want to leave those proud. Anyway, this plant, as you can see, has had better care in the past because we have some very tall pseudobulbs. And this one here is smaller than the others, yet it's producing this lovely flower that is surely a lot nicer than last year's. So I think this one may be earning its keep for a bit longer in my collection. Not fully opened yet, but, well, yeah. We'll come back and see it when it's open fully. And as I continue with my watering, I thought I must show you this, although it's not a Cattleya, but I am very proud to announce that my one and only Masdevallia has a flower. And it's not the first one, it had another flower earlier this year, which is absolutely ridiculous because these plants like cool, moist conditions, and the summer we have had has been anything but that. It's been unseasonably, exceptionally, dreadfully hot, and my Oncidiums have suffered a lot as a result, yet this is the year that the Masdevallia decides it's going to flower. Now, when I bought this originally, it was in full bloom, and since then I've kind of struggled to get it to come back into bloom until this year. So yeah, very nice flowers, and they're unusual. That's what really, I guess, what sends people to seek out Masdevallias. They're just that bit unusual in terms of orchid flowers. And I'm sure we've all seen the photograph that does the rounds on Facebook of the monkey orchid, one of these orchids that is, well, photoshopped really, I suppose, to look very like a monkey. But this one is quite a big size for Masdevallia, and orange, which of course is one of my favourite colours, so that's it. Let's just have a quick look inside at the plant to see if I have any more surprises on the way in terms of more flowers to come. Now that there is a new growth, so that could produce a flower. I'm not sure if it's a flower spike or a leaf. It's a big plant, as you can see, and it's a hybrid, so it really shouldn't be difficult. But yeah. All right. Well, yeah, it's hard to say, but anyway, so enjoy it while it's here. There it is, bobbing around in front of the Cattleyas. So next up in my search of flower spikes and buds on my return from holidays, we have Frances Fox. Now this one has been disappointing, but I think we have some good news in the offing. If we turn the plant around, now this new growth has escaped from the cage, but I think down there, I think that is definitely a bud. And if we search further, now I'm going to have to stand up in a chair to have a look down this one from the top. Down here, this plant doesn't flower from a sheath. It flowers directly from the bud axils, so they're very vulnerable. And when I picked off the dead sheets of the outside of the pseudobulbs, I suddenly thought, oh wait, maybe that's not such a great idea, because there was a bud between these two leaves, and I've kind of just put a little elastic band around there just to close them over a bit and offer these emerging buds a little bit more protection than they were getting through my untoward cleaning of pseudobulbs. I'm trying to come down here to show you that we have a bud down here, or at least we did. I'll just, I guess, move the elastic down. And as you can see in there, actually this one does have a little kind of sheathy thing, which doesn't seem to be doing anything since I applied the elastic up around it. But there may be something coming there. And where else? Down here, again, elastic. Seems to be something down there. And that seems to be it for Orchid Frances Fox. But hopefully, now you can see that this plant has flowered before, and it has budded for me before and blasted, so I hope that's not going to be the story this year. And actually, the flowers do seem to have a little sheath thing on them. I just remembered incorrectly from last time it did. Well, last time it budded for me, but yeah, now it would be absolutely wonderful if I could get flowers in this plant, because this plant is amazing. If you've seen photographs of it, it's absolutely amazing. I'll put a photograph of this beauty in flower, which I saw at the orchid show in Dresden earlier on this year. So yeah, it's all to look forward to. So time for a quick change, and the next plant in my spotlight is also a species, Cattleya, and this one is mossiae, and as we observed earlier, it was producing sheaths, but there is nothing inside the sheaths as yet. I'd be quietly optimistic on this one, but it's not repaying me for that optimism just yet. Here's another leaf that's opening, and there's a little sheath coming down there as well, and there's another one. Again, nothing inside yet. So I hope these sheaths don't go the way of the previous ones, which is what you're looking at here, all completely dried without ever having produced a flower spike. We'll just have to wait and see. And back again, this time to show you Iwanagaara Appleblossom, which is growing very well. Really quite a handsome plant, and I love the way it holds kind of two leaves at the top of the pseudobulb, 2 or 3, but anyway, what I wanted to show you was the newest growth here at the front. Has a sheath in it, so it's spike time for this one. And here we have another plant in bud, quite active bud, and in fact these buds greeted me when I came back from the Azores. Now this plant is a little bit dehydrated. I bought it last autumn and did a big unboxing video, and I bought it in fact for its name, because its name is BLC Chancy General CT Samuel, and my son is Samuel, so that's the real reason I bought this plant. It's not a big Cattleya, but it came in bud and flowered previously, and now I have 2 new buds. Now it doesn't look extremely happy. It hasn't had a lot of root growth. It's put down a few new roots, but it's generally, you know, I mean, that's not a great root system at all. So the fact that it's trying to flower again perhaps isn't a good sign. But you know what? I'm going to take them as I find them, and we're going to enjoy these flowers no matter what happens afterwards. And just to wrap up this video, I thought we'd have a look at the Cattleya warscewiczii that I bought bare root at the orchid show in Dresden earlier this year. And you saw me pot it up, and well, it's doing really badly. It's shriveled, all the pseudobulbs are shriveled, and the 2 new growths have stalled, and I have black marks there. So I'm actually going to tip this out, but before I do, I thought I'd just have a little look at the roots, but there'd want to be something really exciting going on there to make me change my mind as to throwing this in the bin. And it just harks back to my original thought that Cattleyas that lose their roots really are difficult to resuscitate, and not within, well, they're not something I'm going to do again. I went against my better judgment, and this is how it repays me. So let's just have a look at this. Right. So roots here. Let's just see if there's been any effort at all. And these are the 2 new growths. And there are no signs of new roots at all since this has been potted up. It's basically done nothing except use the reserves stored in the pseudobulbs, the water there, to keep alive, and the result is that the pseudobulbs are now completely depleted. And that is the end of Cattleya warscewiczii as far as I'm concerned.